Greetings and welcome to another episode of Pop's Collection. I'm Ron Tweedy, joining me in Pops. And today, we're going to be doing a back by popular demand. And by popular demand, I mean we felt like doing it. A top list episode of different things. So last time we did our favorite superhero team-ups. And this week we're going to be doing our top 5 most rewatchable films that are in the collection.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm happy that you're with us. Yeah, thought about calling it timeless, which in some cases they are, but not necessarily, because I'm going to guess that, especially when we do shows like this, that our listeners, I don't even know if we'll have any double ups where they agree with all of our top 5.
Right.
I found it pretty hard actually to, if you look at my list, I have my paper next to me, but especially on number 4 and 5, I have 4 or 5 different names crossed out and switched things around and did them differently. So,
Sure.
But I feel like I came up with, for me, a list that no matter what, let's just say, if for whatever reason we're watching commercial TV with commercials on them and one of these movies came on,
yeah,
I might even sit through the commercials to watch them, you know?
Okay. Well,
I mean,
that's a good rubric, I think. Yeah.
you know, I decided also that I would go with movies that I thought that even my grandchildren would watch and get entertainment out of.
Okay.
Which I think I came pretty close on that list.
Yeah, I guess I could use the same rubric too because I don't have any, but yeah, I guess we can go there.
Okay. Well, anyways, without further ado,
Yeah, let me
let's get started.
Yeah, let me share my screen. We'll get going on this. Let's do this.
Here. Yeah, I'm pretty excited actually to see what your top 5 are.
Yeah, cool. All right, so you can see the screen, right?
Yes, I can.
Cool. All right.
Pop's Collection, top 5 rewatchable movies.
Right. All right.
Very good.
You went first last time, so I'm going to go first this time. So
awesome.
This is, and I went ahead and got like the movie posters, or I did a Google search for movie posters for the different films that we talked about, and immediately when I saw this, I just got like these, hints of nostalgia and whatnot. I mean, just I love this movie. It came out, right around the time where, I was, little kid, and it just captured my imagination. It took place, in a far off time, all the way back in the 30s. That is way removed from my context, and you have, this adventure. You have, this lots of things going around. You had top-notch actors and just lots of really cool stuff. And so I as a kid, I watched this movie a ton, and even as an adult, I end up going back to it quite often.
Yes, and I would agree that this movie, I'm really surprised you went with that. That's a great thing, but yeah. I could see how you did.
Right, yeah, and I guess I should say, for those who aren't watching the video and they're listening to it on the podcast, I'm talking, of course, about The Rocketeer, the 1991 film that was released by Disney.
Yes, and because there is a 30-year difference between you and me, there's probably going to be some differences in the movies that we both thoroughly enjoyed, because when we get to my number 5, it is also from my youth.
Right.
Actually, I was a young teenager then.
Right.
So yeah, Rocketeer is a good choice.
Yeah.
We actually, if you want, as a listener or a new listener,
Right.
and you'd like, we did do an episode on the Rocketeer.
Yeah, pretty early on. So it was a lot of fun. And again, if you liked the first Avenger, Captain America, the first movie, it's directed by the same person. It really evokes a lot of the same feels from it. And I did hear that they are doing a reboot of the franchise, but it's going to be pretty much completely different. The only thing the same is going to be the actual rocket pack itself. So we'll see what happens with that.
Really? You heard that, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be kind of like a Tuskegee Airmen type of thing, taking place a little bit later in the series. Like I
Oh,
had the idea,
okay.
like I thought would have been cool is get the original actors back, and Cliff Secord is an adult, and his son becomes a spy, and it kind of has like a James Bond type of vibe because it would have been around like Cold War era. But that was my idea. But of course, I'm not a professional writer right now, and I haven't been able to pitch that treatment to anybody yet. But
But
anyway.
that would have been a good story, I think, you know?
I think so too, but and I there are some folks that I think the general consensus is that the original Rocketeer story and the movie that is based off of is really good, but nobody has been able to take the character and actually do anything meaningful with it. Everything else has kind of fallen flat, and we talked about it during the episode how the creator he's no longer he's passed away, so it's one of those things where it's like I think it needs somebody to give it some love and be true to the original vision of the original film.
Right. And that doesn't happen very often.
Right.
It takes a special person and somebody that really,
Yeah.
well, like yourself, you
Right.
know, who has this love for it. And it's funny you mentioned that because when you said that Bond style, it
Right.
reminded me of From Russia with Love because they had the jetpack in that one.
No, you're thinking of Thunderball.
And at the very beginning?
Yes. Yeah. Just before the credits, that was the thunder. That was the jetpack.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. I'm sorry. I had a senior moment then.
That's okay.
It's all good. All right. Very good.
All
Very
right.
good
So,
number 5.
yep.
So
All right. We'll move on to yours then. Okay.
sure. I
And
can't wait to see what you got.
we've got Batman 66.
1966. Like I said, I was a young teenager and I actually saw this at the movie theater.
Wow.
And it was something new. They did have the TV series that we would come home. It actually came on twice a week originally.
Wow.
So you went because a lot of the episodes were cliffhangers
Right.
and you wouldn't get the answer. So it would be like you'd see the first episode Tuesday, then the next episode would be Thursday. So you still had to wait,
Right.
but just not a whole week.
Same bat time, same bat channel, right?
Yes, and the bat shark repellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
This movie is a kind of movie that if you saw it,
Yeah.
everybody knows that Cesar Romero did not
Yeah.
shave his mustache.
Right. Right.
You could see it. It's something that is memorable in this movie, just like Burgess Meredith
Right.
playing the Penguin.
Yeah.
You always remember, wah, 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 wah,
Yeah.
So it was designed to be tongue in cheek.
Yeah, and this was my first Batman movie as well. As a little kid, little kid, I remember seeing it. So
Right, and it's not a movie that you would even consider. No, I can't let the little kids watch it. Or
oh
I
right,
mean,
yeah,
it was totally family friendly.
absolutely, yeah,
And what I liked about it was that Adam West was not Arnold Schwarzenegger
true,
or Lou Ferrigno.
yeah,
And what you got was a Batman,
yeah,
basically just a regular kind of guy,
yeah. Speaking of which, I do think that we'll probably sometime soon do a trailer reaction to the new The Batman movie, because I do think that we're going to get a return to a similar version of that kind of Batman, where Robert Pattinson is not the jacked up super muscular type of Batman. Maybe we'll see.
Well, yeah, you know what? I kind of saw a little bit of a trailer when we went. Where did we go? Oh, it was on television actually, where I was
Yeah.
watching a football game or something,
Okay.
and it really didn't show too much of his body. It was just his head,
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, there's a full trailer now. It just got released like a couple days ago, so we can
oh,
look at it.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we should take a look at that and do a first impressions on it.
Hmm.
Uh, but as you can see, there's in this series, there were a lot of great actors in it also, just
Right.
like your Rocketeer.
Right.
Um, and all of them kind of in their prime of their popularity. So pretty much Burt Ward and Adam West were kind of the lesser known actors
Mm,
in this, whereas Burgess Meredith, Cesar Romero,
sure.
Julie Newmar, all of them were, all big time at that time. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that if I let my granddaughter or my grandsons watch it, that they would get a kick out of it.
They would. Yeah, it's definitely it's one of those things. Yeah, I mean, I loved that as a kid too. And that was the only Batman that I knew. Just before the Keaton version. So
And one thing I do like about it a lot is the bat vehicles that they chose to make.
yeah.
A lot of them were true to the original Batman series. The Batcopter
Uh huh. Uh huh.
was definitely, it was really close to the original
Yeah.
on that. And then you had this neat bat cycle with a sidecar, Robin on the
Yeah.
sidecar, and they
Right.
separate.
Right. Right. Yeah. Speaking of which, they did show the new Batmobile in that trailer, so you have to see that. It's very very different.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, and you know what? We could do a show uh, about rating Batmobiles too,
Sure.
eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 5. Now, I can't wait to see your number 4.
All right. So let's go to it. So in the tradition, so mine's the
What?
Batman Returns. So that this is, I guess, it wasn't like I said, the first Batman movie that I saw, but this is the one I will go back to. Like if I want to watch a Batman movie, this one is my favorite to go back to. As a younger kid, it used to be Batman Forever, but over the years, Jim Carrey, his style of humor is, I guess I kind of grew out of it. But going back to this and getting not only you get the amazing performances from Dan DeVito as the Penguin. I mean, he's just insane. And then you also have Christopher Walken kind of as the other side of the bad guy, who also plays just an amazing bad guy, but a different kind of bad guy. And you got a Christmas movie in it as well. And you have Tim Burton's wacky style, and you have little penguins with the rockets on them. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer did a good job
Right.
as a crazy,
Yeah.
and Michael Keaton,
Yeah.
a good Batman. And these first two actually started that dark era of
Mhm.
the
Right.
Batman movies, whereas the one that I chose was the lighter side version.
Right.
But yes, both very good. Danny DeVito's makeup in this was, to me, somewhat reminiscent of Burgess Meredith, but he was a much better Penguin, Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I feel that Tim Burton's direction for the both of the main villains, or whatever Selena Kyle is, sometimes ally, sometimes villain. It was like you had the original vision of the Penguin or whatever, and Tim Burton's like, okay, well, what if he was just like raised by penguins or whatever, just same thing, like. and let's turn him into a penguin. It's just
Well, yeah, I mean the teeth and everything, and him eating raw fish, and
oh, it's so funny. It's just, I mean, you go back and just Danny DeVito is just like in every scene he is just hamming it up, and it's perfect. Like it's just the level of insanity. It's just perfect for the cinematography and everything. It just kind of lends itself to be this extremely weird, you know, otherworldly presentation of this superhero story, which I love.
yes, and also Selena Kyle's Catwoman
Yeah,
costume, her
exactly.
sewing it and making it herself.
Yeah, yeah. What if she was, miraculously revived by a bunch of cats? Another thing, like kind of insane.
But a good story, much better than the Catwoman movie.
Yeah.
The way they chose to, they did use that a similar story by her being revived by
Uh-huh.
cats,
Okay.
but this was better, definitely.
Cool.
100% better. As a matter of fact, if we ever do a list of movies we don't want to watch or sorry that we had to watch,
Yeah.
I believe that the Catwoman movie will be on that list for both of us,
Maybe.
most likely.
Yeah.
All right, your number four, good. My
Yep.
number four,
Yep. Is Superman the original
yes,
OG?
Christopher Reeves,
Yeah.
Superman. Also, lot of good actors in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yes.
Too, and he was, I'm going to say, the epitome of the folklore of Superman.
Oh, sure.
The chiseled jaw,
Yeah.
the boy next door face,
Right.
the little curl in the hair,
Yep.
like the original ones.
Yep.
And we had a very good Gene Hackman playing Lex Luthor in this.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and I think for as much as I say, how boring the Superman films are, I do appreciate and I realize the historical significance of a movie like this. This was something that was done that was really groundbreaking. It really kind of solidified this is how you do the superhero movie right, with Richard Donner and the casting, the score. That's one thing you can't shy away from is that the John Williams score for Superman is probably one of the most perfectly scored films of all time, I think.
yes, and been reused many times over
Yeah.
in different variations,
Yeah.
basically because it's kind of like the Wonder Woman theme from the new movies, how that that's Wonder Woman, and no matter what movie that
Yeah.
you're going to hear that, she's going to be showing up.
Right. Yeah.
And so again, this is another movie that my grandchildren could watch and could get enjoyment out of it, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What really I thought about this movie, because then again, too, we're at 78. I'm a young adult,
Right.
but not yet too crazy away from watching superhero type movies.
Well,
And
you
go
know,
ahead.
now that I think about it, you were the exact age I was when I saw Iron Man. Isn't that interesting?
Really?
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah, because this came out 78 and 2008 was Iron Man.
That's right. That is right.
Hmm.
Wow.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, here's the thing that too that I found interesting about this, that growing up with the adventures of Superman,
Yeah.
and they would like, he would jump into the air,
Right,
and
right.
then we would get this,
Uh-huh.
so much so that whenever we played Superman outside
Right,
and
yeah.
put the towel on, we did the, but yet in this movie, when he flew up into the air,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
which is kind of more realistic,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
unless he was breaking the sound barrier, he's not going to be making any noise.
This is true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that they really did a good job. And also the special effects in this
Oh
were
yeah.
done real well.
Yeah, top notch for late 70s. This was like cutting edge, like Star Wars level quality special effects.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And so again, number 4. And then that wound up being number 4 after scratching off 3 others. So
Right, right. All right, let's go ahead and move on then. We'll go to our number 3. So number 3, I got one that's a pretty obvious choice. It's the Avengers: Infinity War. And we spent a long time talking about this in our episode, so I won't rehash all of that. But suffice to say, it's one of those things, like you say, even if it comes on during on TBS or whatever, I'll sit down and I'll watch it. And the reason why I picked this one as opposed to I didn't pick any other Avengers films, but this is the one I picked out of all of them because it has just the story. It takes you so many different places, and so you can always find somewhere where you'll find yourself because it's got pretty much everybody in it. And we talked about how I think the Russo brothers said
yes,
that they called it strange alchemy, where they would put two characters that you wouldn't think to put together, and some really interesting things happen. So like when Thor and Rocket and Groot go to get Stormbreaker, they have really interesting interactions. When you have Peter Quill and Tony Stark trying to come up with a plan to confront Thanos, you get really interesting dialogue and interaction between them. So I love the movie because of that, and I just love that they were able to weave 20 movies together in this brilliant story. And that's not even to say the whole character arc of Thanos, and how they completely reimagined him from being just somebody who was obsessed with Lady Death in the comics to have a real motivation for his quest. And unusually we get the villain realizing his story and actually getting what he wants, which is really interesting. And that's where they end the film, which I think is brilliant.
Very good choice. Yes. I attempted to stay away from those
Right.
because when we first talked about it, my thoughts were, which I would call it an honorable mention for me,
Right.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yep.
And Endgames. Because I thought both of those movies they are both rewatchable, but they're both very long. Endgames being over 3 hours, and Snyder's Justice League over 4 hours.
Right.
So, and they're movies that you could watch and get little snippets every time you watch them.
Good point.
And say, wow, I didn't remember that. Oh, I didn't see that time.
Right.
I didn't see that the 27th time I saw it.
Yeah.
They're just movies that I would agree that this is probably something that I thought about it on my list. I did, but anyways.
Okay.
Good choice.
We'll
number 3 for me.
Yep. We got the Spider-Man, the Sam Raimi 2002 joint.
Right, which I think kind of put Marvel into a different direction.
In some ways, yeah. And in other ways, it kind of sewn up what the fate of the actual character in the films are, because Sony still retains the rights to this day of Spider-Man movies.
Yes, that is true, but they did do a good job.
Yeah.
With everything in this, the special effects, the costuming.
Yeah.
The bad guy was great in this.
Absolutely.
Willem Dafoe is like an incredible incredible bad guy.
Yeah.
Even as even without the serum,
Yeah.
he would have been just fine as that. But
Yeah.
this movie, I kind of believe, took it. I think that it, like I said, family friendly. I think this kind of movie drew in a lot more women because of the love story aspect of it.
I'd say maybe for the second one more so than the first, but it definitely would. That the love story I think was more of a B plot in
Oh
this,
yes,
but I think it actually is a lot more involved in the second and third.
uh,
But to your point though, I mean, it definitely has it's probably the widest appeal superhero movie since Superman, I think.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. And I believe that that formula was used
Hmm.
to change the way they did superhero TV series.
In
I
what way?
think it, well, because they uh, chose in the stories, especially in the DC ones,
Oh,
to
okay.
develop the story over 16, 22 episodes, whatever they chose to do the show at. The story was being told over a long period of time, and they were stretching it out with more characters and really dealing more with the humanity of the character,
Okay.
which is, Stan Lee's style.
Okay. Okay. I see what you're
You
saying.
know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So for instance, like so you would say that a show like Smallville took its inspiration from Spider-Man.
Yes, something like that. I would
Okay.
surely say that,
Okay.
because Smallville chose to develop Superman, but
Right.
not Superman until the very last episode of season 10. He doesn't don the Superman costume
Right.
until 10 seasons later, the final episode. So
Right. Yeah.
this was good. Tobey Maguire played the part well.
Yeah.
Not as good as the current Spider-Man, but
I agree.
he did a good job for that. Was what, 2002, right?
Yeah, yeah, and who knows? He might actually reprise his role again just a few months from now. We don't know yet. Nope, there's been no confirmation on any of that. There was one reply from Sony to somebody asking about the film with three spider emojis. So it could be that they get back Toby and Andrew Garfield all in one film, which would be just absolutely bonkers.
Well, I think that would be interesting. There was in the Arrowverse,
Hmm.
I think I shared with you that
Right, yeah, the Flash one where they're all together, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, he sees them all one at a time, and
right.
you got Flash from the movie and Flash from all over the place. It was
Yeah,
an interesting thought. So I would love that if it comes in the movie
yeah,
a couple months from now.
yeah. We'll
All
see.
right, moving
Maybe I'll.
right along.
Yep. All right, let's go. All right, so number two for me is, of course, one of the most childhood-defining moments of mine is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. It's, I mean, we did a whole episode on this. I won't rehash most of that stuff, but suffice to say, I know the movie by heart, like all the lines. I know, we've talked about it all the time, and Turtle Mania was just the right moment, stroke when I was a kid, and all the rest is history.
Oh yes, and I thought about this movie, and then I said to myself, I'll bet that's going to be on Ron's list. So let me think of something else, because I
Yeah,
knew you. Again, talked about it a lot. The costuming was great.
yeah,
The writing was great on it.
right.
They had a good April in it.
Yep,
You know,
yep,
uh, good bad guy. It was really done well.
yeah, definitely.
I would say definitely. This is another one whole family can watch
Yeah,
many times over.
yep, absolutely.
So we're going to call this a movie that if this was on when you were watching TBS, that you would watch it.
Oh yeah, I'd have to. Yeah, because it's or actually at this point, I don't know if I even would have to because I know the movie so well. I would just have it play out in my mind. I could just like it's like Home Alone, right? Exactly the every single beat of the story, what the characters say, and all the action sequences and everything.
I would agree with that. Now, let me ask you this though. Now, see,
Yeah.
for me, what would happen
Hmm.
is I would start watching it,
Yeah.
and it would come commercial time,
Yeah.
and I would say, I own this on DVD. Forget this. And I would put the DVD in.
Yeah. You can do that.
I mean, that way I would not have to have the commercials. So,
Right.
so that's a good idea. Yeah, I like that.
Hmm.
Definitely a good choice, Ron.
All right.
But my number two.
Yep. Let's see. We got the OG, the Iron Man, right?
Yes, which I thought about not adding it to it because most of my stuff was
Yeah.
older version, but
Right.
that definitely set the MCU into motion, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, did a wonderful job with it. We got the backstory there. We got a story with different going in different directions. We got
Yeah.
Pepper. We got good bad guy, and we got some pretty neat Iron Man suits.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yes, and also my favorite roadie, but
Right. I was gonna say. Yeah. Yeah. We didn't get to see more of Terrence Howard, which like you said, you count that as a loss.
I do count that as a loss.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, I wasn't aware, but he's also a singer.
Okay.
I actually saw a BB King special
No.
where Terrence was singing the blues,
Yeah.
and he did a real good job of it. So
That's cool.
not only and although he never got to don the suit, but he was there. So
Where he says next time, baby, and that never happens
yes,
for Terrence.
no,
Or
not
Terrence.
for him.
No. Yeah, yeah, and for me, we talked. We get. I love this movie too. It definitely was an honorable mention on my list as well. But you have you know what makes I think really special is a couple things. I mean, you have some of these legacy actors who are like really like they're really good, like Jeff Bridges, lending
Yes,
a sense of gravitas to these films. Same thing with Sir Anthony Hopkins and Thor. Kind of that level of caliber. And then you have Jon Favreau, who just I don't think he had a ton of huge things under his belt, but the fact is like he has gone on to make amazing stuff. Whether it's something as fun as Elf or something as amazing as The Mandalorian, that's it's great. And then the big thing, going back at this now and having a more appreciation for is Gwyneth Paltrow. And what I mean by that is that she seems so normal in this film, and as a person, she's absolutely insane. So it's she plays a normal person so
yes,
well. It's a really real testament to her acting skills. She's an amazing actress.
yes, she is. I would have to agree with that 100%.
So
Yes, again, like I said, number two on my list.
mhm.
Um, Great story.
Yeah,
Favreau did a great job, and like you said, he's actually done multiple Star Wars things.
right,
Um, and he did a movie called Chef
right.
that was really good. He's done some shows on Netflix and a number of things. He's been a voice actor, uh,
Yep.
and he did great in the Spider-Man movie too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. As an actor, and even as the stand-in for Iron Man with the Marvel Zombies episode for What If.
Yes, yes, very good, very good.
All right.
Okay, now comes the big one.
Yeah, number one, and this probably isn't a big surprise for most folks, but I had to go with another MCU film, and it is my favorite one, which is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Like I said, we spent about 2.5 hours talking about how much I love this film, so we don't necessarily have to go through that all again, but
At least not another 2.5 hours.
certainly not, but I love this film. The characters, they really made a story that was suited to the Captain America character as kind of a fish out of water trying to reacclimate himself into a different world, and you had amazing performances by Scarlett Johansson as Natasha Romanoff. You had, the introduction of who the Winter Soldier is. You have Anthony Mackie as, Sam, Falcon. Yeah, you get all of those things put together. You have amazing action set pieces. You have amazing fight choreography. You have Captain America going up against Batroc, who is like this, D tier villain. Who did they get to cast him? They get George St. Pierre, who is a MMA fighter, one of the best ever. They have him play Batroc, and they do this amazing fight scene that is just, you could, everything about it is just one of the coolest films. The story about, how someone who is kind of like past their prime, finds purpose. And, when he finds out the institution that he believed in has kind of been, corrupted, what does he do? He does the right thing to right the wrong there. And it's, and it goes through the whole story about whether you want, freedom or security, and just everything about this movie is fantastic. And if it's on, I'll just put it on randomly because it's that good. So,
and we got a new Captain America outfit.
Yeah, and I love this one. It's one of my favorites. So have that too.
I actually like it a lot too.
Yeah.
If I ever get the 6-pack abs, I will get a shirt like that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I have to lose the fat to get the 6-pack abs, and I don't know if that's going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, definitely good. I thought you would have gone with the first Avenger movie, but I do have to say with Captain America,
yeah,
if I were to have just those three, the also Civil War, I would have a hard time deciding which one would be number one because they're all really good.
And they're also different. Like, so I had the Rocketeer on the list too, and that was kind of like, well, I put that into kind of the same vein as First Avenger, so that's why, I kind of went with that. And Civil War, like
same director.
Yeah, it is. That's true. And Civil War, like I said, it's not. I don't consider that a Captain America movie. It's an Avengers movie, as far as I'm concerned. The real Captain America sequel we got was Falcon and Winter Soldier. Which
yes.
Again, I really like that too. So that's me.
Yes, me, and I'm really hoping that Falcon Winter Soldier does come out on DVD soon.
Yeah.
I would really love to own it and watch it all at one time. So, and so we're down to my number one.
Yep, and we got
only the best movie ever.
Yeah, which to me it was kind of like it's just not really based on a comic. So
but it is a comic.
It's a comic, but it wasn't based on a comic. The comic was not first. So
well.
Anyway,
you say potato, I say potato.
We're talking about, of course, Star Wars: A New Hope. So,
yes, my all-time favorite movie.
Yeah.
But who I went to go see it 5 days in a row at a movie theater because we didn't have VHS or DVD or anything.
Right.
The first thing that we had that actually Star Wars was available on was something called a laser disc.
Right.
And it was kind of like they had a big 33 RPM disc. and it was $75 if you wanted to own it,
Right.
you know, and you had to play the record. So, you know, it was like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you had to flip it over too. You couldn't. They didn't have enough space for to have the whole film on one side. So
That's true. That's true. Which, uh, good thing about technology is that it has progressed to the point where we don't have those issues.
hmm
Although my Zack Snyder Justice League is on two separate discs.
yeah, well, that makes
So,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah. If you got it
But
on
this,
Blu-ray, I'll bet you if you got it on Blu-ray, it'd be on one disc. Just saying.
maybe. But again, my collection is
I know.
pretty good. I'm not going to change them all to Blu-ray.
hmm
Although we'll see. Anyways, so this is a movie that I would consider almost timeless because you and your brothers watched these when you were little.
Yeah. Well, it is timeless. Because the story that they tell is not, it's not an original story. It's based off Joseph Campbell's The Monomyth, hero's journey. It's basically that. Stylistically speaking, George Lucas is taking things from Kira Kurosawa films. He's taking things from old school World War II serials, Flash Gordon. He's kind of taking all of these things, mashing them together into one story that is, epic and timeless.
Space Western, I believe they called it at one time.
Okay, I think space opera is probably a better term, but
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the franchise is so large.
Mm-hmm.
The number of DVDs that I own that are Star Wars related,
Yeah.
and I don't own the Bad Batch yet. Again, when that comes out, I'll be owning that too.
Sure.
And we are going to have again another story about Boba Fett coming up.
That's right.
So I mean, the saga continues. It's on and on and on and on.
True.
So this for me is one of those that I got to the point where I memorized all the lines.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
So definitely my number one, even though it didn't start off as a comic.
Right.
But it became a comic out of necessity.
Well, it is interesting the story of it. The fact is that Marvel had a tie-in to kind of 6-issue tie-in for the movie to kind of correspond with how the movie plot goes out, and then after that, they just kind of continued the story and they kind of went off these really wacky adventures that don't really resemble any of the other movies at all, really. So.
Well, let me ask you a question. Wasn't there a computer game that involved somebody, I can't remember his name, Darth Rangar or something like that? Or
Yeah, you're talking about Shadows of the Empire, and that took place in between Empire and Jedi. So that was something that was planned out and actually more, I think in line with Lucas's vision of the Star Wars story, whereas the Marvel Star Wars run, at least the original one, it was all kinds of just wacky stuff. So that's that.
Right, and I think that's what led Lucasfilms to come out with their own stuff. Because we did get some different animated things. We got one Cartoon Network, then we got it CG.
Right.
But that was Clone Wars. So that was after they decided to make the first 3. So
yeah.
But we did get your favorite, specials after episode 3. Right, the Christmas special came after episode 3.
No, a Christmas special came out after the first one.
Okay, so
so that was like the winter of, I guess, 77 or 78, somewhere around there, was way before any of that stuff. And George Lucas's comments about how if he had a sledgehammer and every copy of that film, he would smash it, tells you exactly how much he likes that holiday special.
Right. But it's something that probably, if you looked online, somebody wants $50 for it. You
Yeah,
know,
well, I mean, you can find it online now anyway. And to me, if you really want to just get that experience, you could just watch the JonTron special of him watching it. That's much more entertaining than the actual thing itself. And I will say that the cartoon that's in the middle of it with Boba Fett, the first appearance of Boba Fett, um, that is available on Disney Plus now, so you can actually go watch the cartoon itself, which is
really.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you can watch all the other stuff with like the with B. Arthur and Art Carney and I guess it's Jefferson Airplane or Jefferson Starship at the time. I don't remember which
Yes.
version
Well,
of
it
it.
was Starship at the time, if I'm not
Was it?
mistaken.
I don't
I
remember.
believe so.
Either way, that stuff is just um it's insane. You have and Lumpy, the Chewbacca's son Lumpy.
Yeah, yes.
It,
Oh
it,
gosh, yes.
it's insane. So anyway,
Come on, but you know what? That is hilarious, though, don't you think?
unintentionally hilarious. Yeah,
Okay, yes, you're probably right.
it's fun.
Um,
It's funny, but not ha ha funny, right? No.
right. Well, they also had a cartoon series called Droids.
Yeah, yeah. They had that. They also had Ewoks. Uh, and then they had those two made-for-TV movies that starring the Ewoks with some other characters that are completely outside of.
Unmemorable, maybe.
I don't think it's unmemorable per se, but it was not at all like the portrayal of the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. You had it was almost like more of a swords and sorcery Conan the Barbarian type of feel. Those movies were with just a
Yeah.
little bit of sci-fi.
Do you own those?
Yeah, yeah, we got them.
Okay, so you got something I don't have in my Star Wars collection, so I'll have to. One of these days, I'll get to them.
Yeah,
But
it's one of those one where it's a double sided. One side is the first Ewoks movie, and the second one's the second, and both of those are actually available on Disney Plus too. So if you wanted to watch that, the
I remember seeing them when they came out.
yeah. So it's interesting. You've got I'm trying to think. Wilford Brimley's in the second one.
Yes.
And I want to say that Paul Rudd was like the same age as Wilford Brimley was in that movie, that he was an Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Really?
Yeah, so
Wow.
how young Paul Rudd looks versus how old Wilford Brimley looked in that film. It's pretty insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's incredible. And I, hey, there was a comic, so
Yeah.
I'm
But
gonna
by the
go
way,
with.
Ant-Man is an honorable mention on my list too. So
It is actually part of your mom's top five.
yeah.
Because when I was telling her what we were doing, she goes, "Well, you've got to have Ant-Man on there, especially for the little girl. She looks like your granddaughter, you know."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, yeah." And I guess there's this Publix commercial
Uh-huh.
with a little girl making cookies at Thanksgiving, and
Uh-huh.
her grandfather comes and she's like, "I love you, Grandpa," and she goes, "Oh, come on, it's got to be the same girl." I said, "I don't know, but." So, "Oh, you got to have Ant-Man on there," and I said, and she goes, "Oh, then you got to have Ant-Man and Wasp." I said, "No, I don't know about that." And then she goes Shazam next to that, which
Yeah. Yeah.
they're all good movies,
Yep.
and like I said, this is both of our top fives. To our
Right.
listeners out there,
Right.
um, I'm going to recommend
Mhm.
that maybe that you could possibly email us or write on our Facebook page your top
Yeah,
five.
put it in the comments. What are your top five?
Yeah, we'd love to see. And maybe we could do some kind of other show on that.
Sure. All right. Cool. Good deal. All
I'm
right.
good.
Any final thoughts?
Well, just I don't know when this episode will be coming out, but I'm guessing that we're going to have another movie coming out real soon, Eternals.
Uh-huh.
We are not going to have a Van episode on that. And I don't think we're going to have a first impressions because we went to the movie to see it episode.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna put that out there.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
No, we didn't go see the Venom movie.
That's true.
And if I had to rate which one of those two I would rather go see.
Yeah, I'd rather go see Venom too. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so anyways,
right.
Stay tuned next week and we'll think of something else.
Okay.
Or if you have any ideas that you want us to talk about, as long as it's not Eternals, let us know.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, and God bless.
Goodbye. God bless. And tell your friends.